It's going to be a real scandal on the highest order America's ever seen.
It really is the first time I think the internet is breaking a story of this magnitude.
We can't talk about it much further because we've got an FCC license on the stations that air Entertainment Tonight.
There's serious problems of sexual malfeasance in the White House. We've got everyone in Washington now aware of a story after I broke it over the internet over the weekend, after Newsweek stopped the story. When they decided not to run this story, I had an opportunity to move in, and they presented me that opportunity, and that's what I did. And they're going to have to live with that mistake in the history books.
A possible pivotal night here at the White House. Things are moving so quickly in the exploding accusations that President Clinton lied and or obstructed justice.
I had sources in and out of government that were informing me that tapes existed of a woman saying I've had a year-and-a-half affair with Bill Clinton, and she's in her early 20s. And he asked me to cover it up. He asked me to lie. They offered me jobs. Huge story. I don't know much about her. I know she lived at the Watergate, oddly enough, so I'm calling this Watergate 1998.
It's stand and deliver time for the president and for Special Prosecutor Kenneth Starr. The president led his own counteroffensive today. He said, quote, "The allegations are false."
The problem began when sworn testimony started taking place in the Paula Jones case. And when you start getting away from a wag the dog spin, political spin, into oaths, you have to operate in a different realm. There's other things I've broken. There may be a DNA trail. This young woman was bragging that she'd kept a garment after a sexual episode with Clinton, and she swore she'd never wash it. If that garment does exist, this is a story that will turn Washington upside down.
But I want to say one thing to the American people. I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky.
I'm taking on a media establishment that basically I think has not been honest with the American people. There's an atmosphere in Washington that is, it's simply, you don't report embarrassing stuff about a president unless you're 100% true. And I'm not sure that has to be the level you reach at this time. I think you give it to the people. They're not babies, and we could sift it through, and we can discern if these are serious accusations. I'm just one man who's reporting what I see and what I hear from the street where I live. I think what we're seeing now may just be the beginning. I think a hole has been punched in the boat, and water's filling up, and all hell's broken loose.
The allegations are false, and I would never ask anybody to do anything other than tell the truth.
Well, the website has crashed. I mean, this story is so hot, it's crashing websites all over the place. I can't get, it's brought my operation to a standstill. It's like the newspapers being sold out at the newsstand. It really is the first time I think the internet is breaking a story of this magnitude and leading the way.
The allegations were made in the secretly taped conversations of Lewinsky, who first met the president as a 21-year-old White House intern. She has been subpoenaed to testify in the Paula Jones sexual harassment case, and she swore under oath that she never had an affair with Mr. Clinton.
It's a chain reaction that began with the Paula Jones case when you attack the accuser. And one thing led to another. Paula Jones led to a White House staffer, Kathleen Willey. Kathleen Willey led to Lewinsky. You start when you become aggressive and you're talking from the highest office in the land. You never know where that's going to lead, and honesty is the best policy in this, and it looks like they've got themselves in such a mess. I don't know how they get out of it. I don't know how you put the toothpaste back in the tube.
We are going by the book. We want the truth. We want all the truth. We want it completely, accurately, and we will satisfy ourselves that we're getting the truth. And that is the absolute bedrock point. We want the truth.
The Lewinsky case is far from over, if in fact she's indicted. I think she has not been totally forthright, and this is why investigators may or may not be interested in her. Apparently behind the scenes the activity is just breathtaking, and the investigators, the big problem is they don't have enough manpower to chase down all the leads. But again, it's a real dark hour, I think, for the country. This is not something I'm reporting with gusto and a happy face. This is a sad story about deception and fallen leaders. So, no, I don't feel vindicated.
Saturday, Mr. Clinton testified under oath. A source familiar with the deposition says Mr. Clinton acknowledged it was possible Lewinsky saw him at odd hours in the White House, but he said she was probably delivering documents. Mr. Clinton denied under oath any sexual relationship with Lewinsky.
If and when it dries up, the cameras will run away from the story. But you've got something there. You've got a president denying it. You apparently have a prosecutor that seems to feel the other way. That's the classic combination for intrigue. And it's almost like a 1920s, 1930s movie playing out in Washington, and people all over the world are interested. At what point does it really become an issue beyond someone's private life and someone not able to govern? I don't know. You know, each citizen will make that decision, but it looks like we may have to come face to face with this soon.
Where did that come from?
Downtown Los Angeles. The lucky hat. It's been very lucky to me, so I'm superstitious that way. It represents to me a whole era when people actually hit the streets and people weren't so concerned with what people thought of them. Since I run my own website and I'm my own reporter and I'm my own editor and my own publisher and my own publicity person, it's a whole multifaceted, it's sort of a new generation media where you can operate a full-blown newsroom or magazine out of a computer. And, you know, I've got a funny face to match, so that gets me on the TV.
This guest is the founder and publisher of the Internet's controversial Drudge Report.
Well, who's telling more truth this summer, me or the President of the United States? And what the Internet lets you do is anyone participate. And if you've got something to say and if you've got the hottest scoop, you can compete with the big boys. You know, you hit the street. With me and maybe hitting the emails or the chat rooms, I've had the best online conversations with White House sources through America Online chat rooms. You go on the Internet in any of these news groups and it's like the Wild West. Revisit it.
But there is an ongoing investigation. And I think it's important that I go back and do the work for the American people that I was hired to do.
President refusing to explain what, if any, relationship he had with the former intern.
And I seem to be in the middle of it. The Lewinsky thing has been nothing, if not put my name on the map. It was getting hot going up to that, but boy, this thing has just made it sonic. Well, you know, a couple years ago I was folding T-shirts in a gift shop. So this whole thing is, you know, it's kind of a media, you know, fantasy. From, you know, from the very beginning, it felt like magic.
I know that my public comments and my silence about this matter gave a false impression. I misled people, including even my wife.
Oh, I had almost 800,000 people into the website yesterday. Those who think that last night's speech was the closing curtain, I think haven't even begun to see the third, fourth act of this thing.
Indeed, I did have a relationship with Miss Lewinsky that was not appropriate. In fact, it was wrong. But I told the grand jury today, and I say to you now, that at no time did I ask anyone to lie, to hide or destroy evidence, or to take any other unlawful action.
The key thing at this point, since he's conceded the relationship, or somewhat, is the cover-up. Is the chain of events surrounding Monica Lewinsky and what exactly he may have asked her to do and other people in the White House. He had problems with the timeline of the case, that he was not clear on specific aspects of the case, and he did himself more harm than he did good.
Now this matter is between me, the two people I love most, my wife and our daughter, and our God. Nothing is more important to me personally. But it is private. And I intend to reclaim my family life for my family. It's nobody's business but ours. Even presidents have private lives.
I think if the White House had to do it again, they would have kept him off that camera and wouldn't have testified. Because quite frankly, I think he's gotten himself in a worse hole.
But the president gave no indication that he would ever have come forward if it were not for the fact that he was subpoenaed before the grand jury. Starr still sends a report to Congress. Mr. Clinton is trying to get impeachment insurance with his speech.
You know, I've heard portions of these tapes between Monica Lewinsky and Linda Tripp, and she's quite an entertaining lady herself. and I think she's got a lot to say. We can't talk about it much further because we've got an FCC license on the stations that air Entertainment Tonight.
But what impact did his televised address really have? A CBS News poll surveyed people who watched the president's speech. 62% said his statement had no effect on their opinion of him. 25% said they think worse of him, while 11% think better of him.
That is what's pushing this. It's much more of a spectacle than it is people looking up to him as a leader during a crisis potential. I don't think that's what they're seeing in him. I think they're seeing in him much more of good drama and soap opera. And J.R. Ewing was the man we love to hate.
It's an embarrassing little scene, isn't it?
You know, this story started from my apartment upstairs, and I wish I could have a nice clean ending to it so I can take a summer vacation, but I just don't see it at this point.
I suspect Bill Clinton may be one of the masked men.
Do you think a president really needs the support of Hollywood?
Absolutely not. I think that was proven in the last election, where you have very few people coming out in support of the Republicans, period, let alone a presidential candidate. So I think that trend will continue. You know, during the Clinton years, it was fantastic. It was Hollywood and it was royalty. The Bush years, it's just kind of boring.